I want to talk about Path of Exile 2. I want to talk about only one feature in Path of Exile 2 that I think has been implemented very well into the game, and yet we have yet to find an actual use for it. Okay. Now I've been blasting Last Epoch for, nothing serious, right? But just I think I added like maybe like 150 hours in the last couple of weeks. I don't really have a lot of time to play. I only play on the weekends realistically, and like maybe like an hour and a half when I wake up in the morning before I go to work. But yeah, there's this one thing that I really want to talk about in Last Epoch 2 that I really wish they would start, because they implemented it perfectly, and yet it is not getting used at all. And I want to do the PoE2 planner. Okay. And I just want, it doesn't matter. Let's go with Mercenary. It doesn't really matter. I just know it's on the Mercenary side. But basically, so first of all, I don't like, where is it? This one. So this weapon swap speed, honestly, remove it from the game. I don't think it's necessary. What I do think they need to add is a support gem that you could use, or certain skills that you can use that if you have an offhand weapon, not just like a shield, like an actual weapon, it would automatically switch to that. So basically what I mean by this, and this feature is like, in my opinion, is a massive innovation on basically what Diablo 2 had, where you had the weapon swap mechanic. Now, as we know, in PoE2, you have your like passive points, and then you also have your offhand passive points or something like that, right? So you can make your full build. Let's say you go all the way to, like, let's say you're playing bow and spear, right? So let's say you're playing the Amazon, whatever, you're playing bow and spear. So what you do is you build everything for bow, and you use spear as like your engagement or something like that, right? Or vice versa, right? Let's say you use your bow as a debuffer, or like you use it for putting poison or whatever, and then you use your finisher, which would be the spear, right? So you have one build, your main passives going to the bow, and then, or like, sorry, your main passives going to the spear, and then when you switch weapons, you have a certain amount of points that you can use to like for the offhand weapon, right? And then you can play with both spear and bow, and then you run around with the bow. You do, let's say, an ability, let's say poison, a gas cloud, whatever, right? Which poisons everyone, and then you have an ability that charges into the enemy and then swaps you to the spear instantly, right? No cooldown on no speed on like swapping weapons, like an instant swap of the weapon. Now you can probably use this as something like a support gem, maybe. Like when I use this skill, you switch to the spear or something like, or you switch to the offhand weapon, and then you prep the enemy, and then you spear into them and just do like a ton of damage, right? Again, I don't like this combo gameplay too much, like gaining power charges, frenzy charges, endure charges. This is more generator spender. I think there is room for generator spender. I'm totally down for it. D4 fucked it up because everything is generator spender. Same with like D3, everything is generator spender. I have no problem with generator spenders. I think generator spenders should exist. I don't think they should be the only way to play. And charges right now are essentially generator spender, which I just, not my playstyle, but if you like it, that's cool. I am more of the battle master kind of thing. Like, I want to create my own ideal build. Personally, I love melee range interactions. Jump in, do your melee combo, jump out, do your range combo, jump in, do whatever. Obviously, this is not for like regular map farming or whatever, right? Like, this is not for like something you would use all the time. This is something you would use for bosses, um, maybe super elites, whatever, like stuff that like you don't just one shot. Which, by the way, like right now, everything aside from bosses, which I even included bosses, you are one shotting. I do hope they figure out something closer to Last Epoch, where bosses you still don't just one shot them, even though yes, if you play a Judgment Paladin in Last Epoch, you are one shotting most bosses or you just ignore the mechanics. I don't think this is like the standard gameplay you should have. You should be playing around boss mechanics, and I think PoE2 made a lot of great bosses and great mechanics that you can play around with skill, but they're also like so punishing that's like you just have to nuke them, right? Like, kind of makes no sense, right? Imagine like every boss, and again, oh my god, yes, I'm sorry. I'm gonna bring up Elden Ring. Imagine in Elden Ring, every boss would just one shot you regardless. Then you have no incentive to actually learn the boss. Your only incentive is to build as much damage as possible to make him do as minimal amounts of attack as possible. I don't think that's good. I think there should be a way for bosses to like survive longer. And I don't think HP necessarily is the best solution. It's like, oh, just make them super tanky. Then it's like, well, people who have low DPS are gonna have a problem. I think Last Epoch has a nice solution to it um with the energy shield that they're getting, or whatever it's called, like the shield that they're getting. It is a quick fix. I don't think this is the best fix, but it does stop you from just like nuking bosses. The reason I find that to be like a somewhat like reasonable solution is because even if your damage sucks, that shield will drain on its own. Okay, let's say you're building like a super tanky character that can ignore mechanics, but like you're like, because of that your damage is not that great. Which, by the way, if you're a paladin, this doesn't apply to you. Your damage is great and you're super tanky. I'm talking about like us mortals. Okay, us mortals. If we build super tanky and super survive, our damage is probably not going to be as high. But we also still can't one shot bosses. But because, sorry, if we're super tanky, we don't do a lot of damage, or we can go glass cannon. We still can't one shot bosses, right? We can kill them very fast, but we can't one shot them. And we can pretty much destroy their shield as well with our massive damage, and we can make the fight a lot shorter. But if you're super tank, the shield will drain on its own. So I feel like this is a nice quick fix. I don't think this is the best solution. I much prefer what they did with stuff like the new boss, the spider in the cemetery, whatever, like a special echo that she summons a minion that you have to kill in that time. She's invulnerable, stuff like that. I much rather like that approach, similar with like you get to a certain HP on a boss and then you have to like run somewhere, like you have to do like a mini game or like a puzzle to unlock the next phase of the boss so you can do more damage, stuff like that. I am more a fan of than a quick fix like energy shield. Either way, that's neither here nor there. This video is it's like, man, I'm trying to do a video about one thing and it's like my thoughts just keep going haywire. Anyways, what I want to see, right, which by the way, I think PoE2 implemented this perfectly into the game, as I said, yet has no usage for, is the double weapon builds. I don't see any reason for anyone right now to do double weapon builds. Now, I guess their goal was something like to do with maybe like the crossbow. We also haven't gotten all the weapons yet, so maybe there will be more of that happening. But I would love to see like daggers and bow play coming in, right? I would love to see crossbow and greatsword coming in, right? Crossbow and, well, here's the sword, right? Crossbow and mace, crossbow and mix it up, right? I want to see a mix, right? Crossbow and staff or something, but there's not enough debuff. There's also like there's no reason to play debuff into damage. Like, what was the language they use in Warframe? Wow, I forgot. But basically, like you have the one, like the weapon that like reduces enemy armor, puts like dots on them or whatever, and then you have the weapon that finishes them off using all of that, all the debuffs that you put on them, right? I would much rather see a benefit to playing that way coming to PoE 2. And again, this is mostly for special bosses, not special, like actual bosses, maybe like super tanky elites or something like that. I don't want to see this for white mobs. I think white mobs should just fucking get wiped off the screen, just blow them up. I don't give a shit about white mobs. Okay, white mobs should never be something that takes you too long to kill. Right? Unless you're playing No Rest for the Wicked, but if you are playing something like that, then you have to reduce the amount of white mobs by like 95%. Okay, there's no reason for white mobs to actually like be more than just the grass you cut when you're trying to make your way through the forest. Okay, either way, this is basically what I want to talk about. I just want this to happen. I think the possibilities that this would open up for gameplay at the later game, at the even like the middle game when you interact with bosses, and I think the bosses in this game are great. The problem is they just die. There's no reason to even interact with the bosses if you can just one-shot them. Obviously, there's a lot of balancing that needs to happen. If you are one-shotting bosses, not good design, okay? If the bosses always one-shot you regardless, too many one-shot mechanics, not good design, okay? All of these things, okay? So figure out the balance, but I would love to see this feature actually being able to work. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll make more video content because I have been making a lot of like political shit, which again I find interesting, but I don't really want to be like a political thing. I want to talk about games. I love games. I want to talk about these games, okay? I want to talk about like critiques of games, but like when you don't have time during the day, this is like me fucking venting out, right? All I do is like I listen to Spotify, I listen to YouTube videos when I'm at work, and it's like, oh, this is interesting, I want to talk about. Oh, this is interesting, I want to talk about. And it's like, but I want to talk about games, but I don't even get a chance to play. Anyways, that's it for me. What do you think? Do you think this feature has a future, or do you think they added it and have no idea what to do with it? Leave a comment down below, and if you hate me and you hate that I talk about PoE 2 and you disagree with everything I said, make sure you leave a very big juicy hate comment. I always reply to those first because I love talking to retards. See ya.